Hello everyone and welcome back for the final time this year, my top 10 favorite action figures of 2020. Yep, this is them. These are the top 10 figures. Alright you guys, I'm kidding. These are actually all of my honorable mentions. These were the figures that I was fairly excited about and enjoyed a tremendous amount playing around with this year, but they just couldn't quite get up to snuff in terms of being in that definitive top 10. Say we got two representatives from G.I. Joe Classified with Duke and Prophet Director Destro. Absolutely love these figures, but with Joe's it was just too hard to get them this year, and it's almost completely turned me off from wanting them in the future. Obviously, you see Ranger Slayer here, a fantastic figure, one of the most unique characters that I've ever owned in any collection before. She just couldn't get in just because of how difficult she is to pose sometimes. You have the NECA Mirage black and white variant of Shredder. I'm really hoping that this means we're going to see more comic stuff in the near future. The articulation was a little bit off, so it just wasn't for me personally. Red Hulk obviously was a contender earlier this year. You got Johnny Silverhand. I still haven't even played Cyberpunk, but in terms of just an out-of-context, badass Keanu Reeves action figure, 10 out of 10. Speaking of likenesses, the Marvel Legends Wolverine figure with that perfect chef's kiss Hugh Jackman head sculpt. You got the DC Multiverse Azrael with some of the most beautiful sculpt work that we've seen from McFarlane to date. You got the NECA Toys Metalhead, just a big, hefty, chunky action figure that deserves a lot of praise. And finally, in the back here, the McFarlane Toys Doom Marauder. And I can't stress enough how close that figure was to glory. It had a spot in the top 10 from the day I had it. Maybe even my top 5 if I'm being completely honest with you guys. And then McFarlane shot it in the back of the head with those horrible elbow joints that they sculpted. Just unacceptable. You gotta do better, guys. But anyways, these were the figures that I wanted to grab and talk about one last time. And I think I've kept you waiting long enough, so let's go ahead and get into the actual list, starting with number 10. Alright you guys, kicking off my top 10 list at number 10, we have the 1000 Toys Master Chief. Now I absolutely love this figure, but the thing that definitely keeps this thing down is his price point and the fact that he was an import figure. He came in at the $125 mark, and besides his sword, 2 pistols, 5 pairs of hands, and his rifle, that was it in terms of his accessories. A lot of the budget probably went into the engineering of the articulation on top of the superb sculpt work that 1000 Toys did with his Mjolnir armor. So I don't hold that against them, but all of that combined with the fact that this figure was one of the last ones that I picked up this year, so he's freshest in my memory. I can't really justify placing him any higher than number 10, but he was worthy of being on this list altogether, so there you go. Also, this one is dedicated to my best friend Blake. Happy New Year. And yeah, it was like, if you ever get a chance to see this, there you go. And at number 9, we have the Marvel Legends comic book War Machine figure. This was a deluxe release, and it came out the wazoo with accessories. I don't really feel like digging them out right now, so just bear with what we got here. But this figure was absolutely amazing. They implemented some of the pinless technology on this figure in the arms, not in the legs, though, unfortunately. The turrets are articulated and you can move them and pose them. Came with this absolutely gorgeous Rhodey head. Now, let you guys get a closer look right there. But yeah, I mean, what holds this figure back and what gave him over the edge with Chief, fortunately, was, like I said, with the accessories, but what holds him down and keeps him lower on the list is just with his joints. Unfortunately, they were really gummy as time's gone on, and I'm cautious of how well they're going to hold up in the next few years moving forward. But that doesn't stop me from loving this figure right now, and that's why he gets the number 9 spot. Taking the number 8 spot is going to go to the McFarlane Toys Mortal Kombat Spawn. This is the Axe variant that was the Target exclusive that came out earlier this summer. And what keeps this figure down low on the list is basically the fact that this is the 3rd version of this figure that came out this year. There were 4 in total. One was a repaint, so I'm not going to count that one. And what just really knocks it down for me is the fact that the first version came with a sword, the second one came with a mace, this one came with the axe, and I would have honestly just rather had bumped this up to the $25 to $30 price point and have just gotten all 3 accessories in one, instead of it. It just really felt like a really cheap tactic, and then plus there was the entire calamity that was trying to get the sword version at the local Walmarts. It didn't go up online. It was just a disaster. But I mean, that's neither here nor there in terms of this figure. I personally also don't have that close of a attachment to Spawn, but nobody is out sculpting Todd McFarlane, and he treated his creative brainchild, that is the epitome of all of his genius in terms of what he does with figures, at the highest caliber this year. And Spawn is back, and so it's he's worth having on this list. And at number 7 we have the DC Multiverse Flashpoint Batman. I absolutely love this figure, and I know that this is probably going to be a contentious pick for a lot of people because a lot of people have problems with how the legs work. The distribution of these being a limited Target exclusive was a bit of a letdown for some, but it is coming to a wide release at the beginning of next year, from what all of the sources have said about this figure. And at the end of it all, I really don't care what anybody else has to say, because this figure is the epitome, and at the height of its powers, this is the best McFarlane Batman that he's done, or he probably is ever going to do, because Todd Batman the crap out of us this year. And what's that they say about saving the best for last? Because this figure is absolutely astounding. It just blew my mind just how much I just love the aesthetic of this. It looks like it walks right off the comic, and out of everything he's done, this is the Batman figure that looks the most like what Batman is supposed to look like to me. And the irony in that is very hilarious, because for those of you who aren't aware, this version of Batman is not Bruce Wayne, it's his father Thomas. You can search up information on Flashpoint Batman. That's not what this video's for. But he's number 7, and we're moving on. And number 6 on my list goes to the Hasbro Marvel Legends Cable figure from the Deadpool 2 movie. Now, for those of you who know me, you know that I'm really big into real-life actor likenesses. I'm trying to zoom in here a little bit. And 10 out of 10, best head sculpt of the year for me personally, has to go to this Josh Brolin head sculpt. That sells the figure on everything else, regardless. I mean, does he have pins? Yes, doesn't bother me. Is he completely movie accurate? No, doesn't bother me. Is the articulation like a little bit finicky at times when you're trying to pose him, especially with his boots? Absolutely, does not bother me, because like the technology is here and it's perfect in terms of capturing these real life likenesses, and I absolutely love this figure. And yeah, it definitely deserved a spot in my top 10 of the year. Taking the number 5 spot on my top 10 list of action figures of 2020 has to go to the Power Rangers Lightning Collection SPD Red Ranger. Now, for those of you who know me, you obviously know that I love Power Rangers. What you probably don't know is SPD is in my top 3 favorite seasons of all time, and the character of Jack Landers, the SPD Red Ranger, is in my top 5 favorite Rangers of all time. So this figure was a must-have for me, and as I sing his praises, he has to come up short. Typical video for me, but that's not going to stop me from loving him. Jack Landers is one of the best characters, and this figure just encapsulates everything with that. Hasbro even nailed the attention to detail of the fact that his pistols can combine into a bigger assault rifle. And you guys know how I feel about Hasbro's lack of attention to detail, so I'll take it where I can get it. But this figure was awesome, and if you paid attention and you watched all my other top 10 videos that I did this year, you will realize that he is the only lone survivor that has made it all the way from the very first video back at the beginning of March when I started doing these. So he held out this long, he made the top 5, and I couldn't have asked for a better version of this Ranger right here. There you go. And number 4 on my top 10 list of action figures of 2020 goes to the McFarlane Toys Devastator. Oh my goodness, this guy is so big he barely fits into the freaking camera frame, and I love him. Is he a little undersized? Yes, but you got to remember, this figure is at the $20 price point. And there is no other figure, articulated figure, with this much sculpt work and this much durability. Like, I feel like I could throw this thing through a freaking window and it'll still be functional on the other side. Obviously, I won't do that. We take care of our toys, is like on this channel. But seriously, you guys, like I said before with Spawn, nobody is out sculpting Todd McFarlane. This figure is probably the height of when he's at his full creative capacity. I absolutely love it, and this year, Big Dumb Fun won. And taking the number 3 spot goes to Ed, and Eddie. I'm kidding. It's the NECA Toys Triceratons, and now this is a 3-way tie between the Xerix and Zork 2-pack and the basic Triceraton Infantryman, who is basically leading the charge into why the Triceratons are so high on the list. I absolutely love these figures, and I keep saying this a lot, but if you know me, you know that I'm a huge Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fan. But what you don't probably know is the fact that in the expanded universe, the Triceratons are my absolute favorite villains. Big, burly dinosaur men with spaceships and laser guns. Yes. Out of context, every day of the week, anytime, any place, I'll take them. These figures are amazing. I love the sculpt work on them. The paint work makes them look like they walked right out of the cartoon. The articulation's there, and the only thing that knocks them down is like what, half a point, is the fact that the accessories for all of their weapons across all 3 figures in the 2-packs that they come in, yeah, they're all the same, but that really doesn't bother me because, like, yeah, they're an armada. And this figure is the first instance where I finally broke in my stance on army building, because I bought 4 of these, and the fact that NECA was able to pump out so many available at retail to where I was able to acquire 4 with no issue, like, yeah, I have to sing its praises for that too. But yeah, the Triceratons are amazing, and they definitely all deserved a spot on this list, so I gave them all one to share. Moving on. And the first runner-up at number 2 on my top 10 list of action figures of 2020 has to go to the NECA Toys Casey Jones figure. Now, this one might actually be a little bit more contentious than the Flashpoint Batman figure, based off of other people's top 10 lists that I've already seen, that have already come out. But I love this figure, and nothing is going to stop me from loving it as much as it being my second favorite release of this year. there was no figure that I searched for and hunted for harder than this one that you're looking at right here. And I'm not going to let NECA's weird elbow joints, the lack of a removable mask, and the fact that it comes with another Raphael figure that I really didn't need, stop me from loving the fact that Casey Jones from the 1990 movie 100% Accurate is finally here on collector shelves. This is something that people have been waiting for 30 years, and it couldn't have been done any better than besides the inevitable re-release that we're probably going to get next year. And guess what? I'll buy that one too. I just love this figure. I'm happy to have it. And yeah, he's number 2. So moving on to number 1, here we go. And number 1 for my top pick of my favorite action figures of 2020 has to go to the NECA Toys Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Secret of the Ooze figures. Yes, it's another 3-way tie at the number 1 spot, and once again, I do not care. Because holy cow, you guys, NECA, they just unzipped it and laid it all out on the table this year with the Secret of the Ooze figures. The Toka and Razar 2-pack and the single release of Super Shredder. 2 of the 3 things that everybody remembers most about that movie are these characters, Super Shredder and Toka and Razar, and I count them as one unit like Bebop and Rocksteady. And number 3 is Ninja Rap, and so the day they make a Vanilla Ice figure, I'll buy that too, and I'll likely put it on my top 10 figures of 2021 if it gets released next year. But, oh my goodness, you guys, the sculpt work, the articulation, the accessories, the screen accuracy, the demand, the hype, it's all here with these figures, and I couldn't have wished for, begged for, or found anything better than these figures at this price point. This is probably the apex of collecting for Ninja Turtle fans, and it doesn't get any better than this. So there you have it. That's the number 1. Don't like it? You don't have to. You already watched this far. And here you have it, everyone. My top 10 favorite figures of the year in 2020. Well, 10-ish. Counting them down one last time. At number 10, we have the 1000 Toys Master Chief. Number 9, we have the Marvel Legends War Machine. Number 8, we have the McFarlane Toys Mortal Kombat Spawn. Number 7 was Flashpoint Batman. Number 6 was Marvel Legends Cable. Number 5 was the SPD Red Ranger in the Lightning Collection. Number 4 was McFarlane Devastator in DC Multiverse. Number 3 was a 3-way tie with the NECA Toys Triceratons. Number 2 was the NECA Toys 1990 movie Casey Jones. And number 1 goes to Super Shredder, Toka, and Razar for the Ninja Turtles Secret of the Ooze assortment. Thank you guys so much for indulging me this year. This year was tough, and a lot of times it was not fun. But action figures are always fun, and it definitely helped make the year go by a lot smoother than it really should have. So once again, I appreciate you guys indulging me in this hobby. Keep an eye out for anything else that I choose to do in the future. This might have just been a one-time thing, but let me know in the comment section below. Share the video if you really liked it and you want to see me continue to show you guys my hobbies and stuff like this. And just because you thought that you weren't going to see him one last time, here he is to help ring in the new year. Figma Zenyatta, one of my favorite action figures of all time, promoting peace, love, and positivity. So peace be with you, and Happy New Year. This is probably not even going to make it into the final cut of the video, if the video even exists, but I just wanted to show you guys that I tried my damnedest to actually deliver a quality product to you. And I recorded it. I recorded all this footage originally on my phone because it was going to get it at a much higher resolution than the 720p camera that I was forced to record everything on. But for whatever reason, every time I tried to import the footage, it just crapped out on me, and it just wouldn't format properly. I don't know. I'm not a professional video editor, but the high quality footage is here. And some of you are probably wondering, well, why didn't you just use the 1080p camera that you have? Well, I tried that too, and for whatever reason, the charger just doesn't work anymore. So 2020 just had to get one in on me one last time. Whatever. And I don't think that I can handle this right. Nah.